Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just checked.
All right, we're live.
We are live. As the price is tanking, is the price tanking as we speak?
That's correct.
How's it going, guys?
How's it going, guys?
Hey, everybody. Fun time to jump on.
I know.
Things have been crazy all around.
I know,
Unity,
right? Price is the least of it, I feel like, right?
everything.
I'm waiting for the bottom.
You're waiting for the bottom.
Let us know when we get there. Hold on,
Yeah.
I just want to pull up something over here. Oh, here we are.
I think everyone's on. Jeff.
Oh, so we're last minute as
Oh, there's
usual.
someone's coming on. Oh, wait. Add to stream. I added you. Okay. Sorry. Press remove by mistake.
Can you guys see our sign? There was a... All right, good.
Okay, let me move to this.
How's our lighting?
How's our lighting, guys? As you can see, we have a
Cheers.
cheers. Cheerios.
Cheers. You're so stiff over there. Relax.
Well,
Relax.
I feel like I'm
Jesus.
stuck over here.
It's hard with the boom arm in the way.
Yeah.
we're
And
taking
then
some
like,
getting
I'm
used to
typing
trying to
on the
drink
computer,
around the-
so I'm gonna look like a little robot.
We went and
guys.
got this fancy equipment. Was it B&H? You are
B&H.
familiar with B&H? Is that just a New York thing?
No.
I don't know. I think it might just be a New York thing.
I recognize it.
What's that?
I recognize it.
Okay. Yes, it's a really good electronics store in Manhattan. And it's like,
Oh, I've heard of it.
But it's like,
yeah, it's very famous. It used to be famous for camera equipment, and now it's just, they've evolved with the times. But they're pretty awesome. It's like one of the only, at least that I know of, places where you could go and people actually know what they're talking about. They could actually help you and tell you what to get. So it was good. We did that on Sunday.
yeah, Sunday.
It's impossible to drive into New York these days and actually
Yeah.
park
It's chaos.
between like bike lanes and restaurants also being on the street now. And they've just gotten rid of all parking in New York. So I'm just complaining about
Just
venting
complaining.
about
Well,
our New York
yeah.
experience.
Then also it doesn't help that the store is not open.
Oh yeah,
lot.
and then they're closed.
They're like
on
closed Saturday and then they
Saturdays,
close at 2 on Fridays.
2 on
Yeah, so-
Fridays.
sorry guys, we're boring you with the equipment
Pork
story.
Fest is coming up really soon, right?
What's
up?
that?
Pork Fest is coming up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah.
We're leaving we're gonna either leave like Wednesday night or Thursday morning.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
tomorrow night. Yeah.
What is that? I've never heard of it.
So, you never heard of Pork Fest?
Oh.
It's
glad you asked.
I guess I would describe it as a libertarian festival, kind of like Burning Man for libertarians. Not that libertarians don't go to Burning Man, but this is like kind of
More specific.
Yeah, this is like strictly libertarians, I would say, or people that love liberty.
Well, the way the whole idea is to try to attract people to move to New Hampshire.
Yes. So I've never been to Pork Fest. I've been hearing about it for years. But my understanding is like a lot of big crypto people came out of there because they were they were like the early adopters. Because before crypto, when they were doing Pork Fest, because I think Pork Fest is like 20 years old at this point, or at least 10 years old. A lot of people would just use hard current coins and stuff, but only accept coins at Pork Fest. So gold or silver coins. So that, they're very like hard money centric people. So then obviously when Bitcoin was invented, a lot of these people were kind of, early adopters. They were the ones following it early in the early days. So I'm curious to see how prevalent Monero is. Obviously Bitcoin's really big over there. I'm curious to see if a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, Monero, or if they're going to be like, it's a shitcoin.
It seems to be picking up in the circles from what I can tell. I think quite a few kind of high profile libertarians are starting to come around to the idea. I know some big podcasters and some like video content people have started to accept it for donations and stuff like that. So I know that within Monero there's a pretty big libertarian group, but I think it's also starting to pick up steam a little bit in those circles.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm seeing that as well. That's my anecdotal feel as well. It's about time, right? I mean, if not them, who else? I mean, it completely aligns with supposedly what they believe in.
Especially as
recovery.
Bitcoin becomes more
Yeah.
government and corporation friendly and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah, I'm sweating too because I ran over to Staples down the block to get a cable to plug in. We're a mess. So how's it going, guys? How's everybody else doing?
How's everyone
Enough
doing?
about us.
I know.
Is anybody else going to Porkfest, by the way? I guess obviously not. Otherwise, people would have mentioned it. No.
No. Anyone watching?
If anybody's watching is going to Porkfest, let us know, please.
Please reach out to us.
Pork as in porcupine, by the way, not pork, which I was disappointed to learn. I enjoy ribs.
You enjoy ribs?
I'm sure there will be pork there, but it's just not the theme. So let's go around the room here. Seth,
We say Seth. Hi, Seth.
you want to do a quick intro? I mean, I'm sure most people know you by now, but just like a
Yeah.
one-liner.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I can fit it in one line. Let's see.
3 words.
I already used my line. Crap. I'm screwed now. Yeah, my name's Seth Simmons. I'm pretty, I guess, vocal in the Monero community. Reddit, Matrix, Twitter, all that fun stuff. So most people probably know me from around there. I just started my own podcast. Nothing too crazy. Privacy nerd and just learning where I can and sharing what I learn.
How's your podcast going? How many episodes have you put out?
Just 2 so far. Started off on June 1st. So we dropped an episode then, and then we're kind of bi-weekly right now. So I say me.
We will listen on our way up, on our drive up, our 5-hour drive. We will listen to your podcast 100%. Very much looking forward to it.
It is not cryptocurrency centric. I kind of wanted to change
Oh.
things up, and that's definitely a part of it, and it will be a bigger part of it in the future. Probably going to do kind of a season dedicated to where cryptocurrency fits into opting out and kind of a privacy tool set. But it's more kind of general privacy focused. So it should be of interest, but it's not just going to be kind of a cryptocurrency podcast.
I love that. No, that's great. That makes it even more useful to us because we obviously already know Monero pretty well. So we could maybe learn a thing or two by tuning in. Very cool, man.
And we have Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, hi. So, I guess just like I said, sorry. Like I said last time, I'm a CS student. I like Monero. I think it's gonna beat Bitcoin someday. Although probably not today. That's the price it's currently taking, but we'll see.
Day's not over yet.
The taste. All right.
Everything is tanking, huh?
Yeah, no. We were busy setting up. We didn't even look at
To be honest, I sold right before it tanked again. So I'm hoping it tanks a little bit more.
We're going to need proof of sale here. Everybody talks about, I sold the top. Definitely sold the top.
Oh god! All right.
I'm looking to maybe acquire some more as we get down to these lower price ranges. I don't trade. I never trade. Don't do that.
All right,
who else we got?
we have Think Massive. Hello.
Hey
say
guys,
hi?
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How's it
Cool.
going?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'll just do a quick intro. I'm mostly here to listen. I'm a big fan of you guys. I tune in when I can. I'm a platform engineer. I tend to work mostly with Bitcoin just because it's bigger, but I love Monero. I went to the Monero conference when it was in Denver, and we're looking forward to the next one. So yeah, I really like what you guys do, and I drink my Monero coffee. And
Awesome.
I like the dumpster down in Miami. I know that probably
Yeah,
sounds
I
really
love
weird
that.
to anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we were just talking to Vic about that today. Ended up being a major success.
Oh yeah, I saw people taking pictures next to it the entire time and like plucking, like one node out, trying to figure out if it was real.
Wait, were you down there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did we chat down there?
I did. No, I saw you guys. I actually didn't get to run into any Monero people the whole time. I was kind of busy running around doing stuff, but I did see you guys at one point, like near in that vicinity.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wish you came up and said
yeah.
hello.
I know. Yeah, I know. I regret it. I should have hit you up on Twitter or something. It was a whirlwind,
yeah, it was pretty chaotic
It was
weekend.
13,000 people. So
Yeah,
you had a
it was
good
a
time, obviously, right?
Yeah. It's very, very good. I'm like trying to find my next gig, and that was like the best thing I possibly could have done for that. Just like meeting, all the people in the industry face to face. It really goes a long way.
What type of work are you looking for?
Platform engineering, so kind of like DevOps and backend sort of combined, running like a cluster for a company that's running cryptocurrency infrastructure, basically. Trying to get into something exciting like managing hot wallets and doing a lot of security and stuff.
Very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, feel free to hit me up if you know anybody that's looking for somebody like that.
All right, yeah, we'll definitely keep you in mind, man. Do you contribute to Monero at all in terms of like development?
No, I don't. Definitely not. I'm a Monero user. I've got my converted Casa node back here. That's like the extent of my Monero infrastructure at the current time, unfortunately. But I mean, I follow the space, but no, I'm not a contributor.
Cool.
And we have Sean. Hi, Sean.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean. I'm a mixed-net programmer. I've been in the community for a few years. I'm working on a couple projects that'll be, over the summertime, I think. Recently, a lot of people have talked about trying to contribute, so I've decided to dedicate some time this summer to work on a couple things I've had in the back burner. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. What are you looking to work on right now? What are these back burners?
Yeah, well, some of the systems are in C++. There's a lot of different wallets out now, like a lot of them. I'm just curious about upgrading some of the backend node software up to, say, a more modern language like Go or Rust. So I might do some, templates for that for the upcoming Triptych implementation. It'd be nice if we had a parallel application to make sure everything went right too.
That sounds like a huge undertaking. That's a tremendous project, right? That's like.
Well, I'm good at faking things and just making them look like they work right. So let's see how that goes.
You may want to take a look at the mobile coin code, since they use a lot of Monero's base, and I think it's written in Rust.
Oh, yeah.
So that may be of interest to
yes,
you.
it is. Yeah, that gave me the idea originally.
Okay, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Some shortcuts.
Yeah.
Who else we got?
We have Nikolai White.
Hey, how's you guys doing?
How's it
What's
going?
going
How's
on,
it going?
man?
How's it going?
He's a New York local.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of your work, and I'm not just talking about what you do here on YouTube. I'm a really big fan of putting yourself out there. I'm guessing you guys do talk about that a lot on stage, obviously, right?
Talk about what? Yeah.
You're being in politics.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Obviously, yeah. There's no hiding that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have not.
You would have been one of my constituents if I would have won, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That's my district. I live on Sideways Israel, also known as Long Island, and I actually I had a great time. We may or may not have gotten some beers at a local craft brewing location, but no. I'm always big into politics. I was I got into cryptocurrency because of politics. It just led me down a rabbit hole. And I think that it's really great that Monero is top 25 in market cap while not having any dedicated marketing team. It's so decentralized. There's no, the team's dedicated, but the team is all volunteers. So I think it's really, really cool. But you guys know that already. I'm always a big fan of Monero, even though I've never done any direct work for the organization. I've had a conversation with Fluffy Pony. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, you did? I don't even know if we talked about that. Did he come on your show? You have a show too, right, man?
I do have a show. I have not published the video that I have. It was actually an AMA for Yacht. And that is really
Yeah.
That's an exciting project that he put out. Most of you guys know the emoji URLs. I was able to ask him a question. I believe I asked him a question that was pertaining to privacy because that's so important to us all. Maybe I will post that full AMA at one point in time. It was actually hosted on Satoshi Street Bets on Telegram. It wasn't hosted on my own channel, but going forward, I much like the live format on YouTube, and I think I'm gonna do like omni-channel omni-channel interviews where I'm going to be doing developer and founder interviews, like live on Telegram and YouTube at the same time.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
I know we've talked about this before, but probably would be cool to talk about right now since we're in public. How do we get the Satoshi Bets community more involved in Monero? Are they all aware of Monero? Are they interested in Monero?
That's a great question. The Satoshi Street Bets community is so spread out, and we all have our own little niches. How to get them involved in it? Honestly, I think it's a great question. I actually do think I have the answer. I think that the logical conclusion to being against the sort of financial trappings that we find ourselves in, political, financial, the entire system. I mean, the answer is clearly Monero. And as Wall Street Bets has sort of like an anti-Wall Street, anti-venture capital, hedge fund sort of following, I think that Satoshi Street Bets sort of proposes the answer, whereas you're not going to be able to change the system from within. Yeah, you can play those games, but we've seen time and time again that companies such as Robinhood, if they're not going to win, they're going to take their ball and walk away. And so the only way in which we're going to be able to really have a chance at having any leverage in the situation is we need to expand the cryptocurrency and decentralized platforms and make it so that they have to play our game. And so we don't have to keep playing theirs. So I think that it would be fantastic if Satoshi Street Bets community and just a lot of people on the internet who is sort of like fed up, and that's why they're coming to Wall Street Bets and Satoshi Street Bets. I think it would be really great if people joined together and realized that we have to work together. And I think that there's been some attempts. People have been saying things like you could short squeeze Monero because a lot of people do like to pull shorts out on Monero because it's one of the ones that's less accepted by centralized exchanges, as it's one of the most decentralized coins out there. In taking those shorts out, people want to squeeze the shorts like they did in the Wall Street Bets movement, but it's not necessarily possible if you understand just how large of a float Monero has. It would be, near impossible, unfortunately, but I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, it seems like it aligns with a lot of the ideals of the Satoshi Bets community, in that it's a very disruptive project, Monero, at its core.
Yeah, absolutely. Disruptive is a very good word.
Unfortunately, they were more aligned with the Dogecoin community. Yeah,
I think there was a lot of people because the community is so spread out. I can only take responsibility for myself. I think that there were a lot of opportunists that were seeing the brand as a way in which they were onboarding new people over from the Wall Street Bets movement and sort of educating them in cryptocurrency. And the thing is, when you're bringing new people into a community that has less information than others, it's just it attracts the types of people who might want to exploit them for short-term profits, and more so than educating them. And so it got a lot of people, really in trading. If you can do it well, it can be a very valuable thing. But I think that, instead of my first advice was just to, take a portion of my paycheck that I don't need every week and, buy it at whatever price. And that's a lot safer for people coming into the community than, attending all of these group chats and having a bunch of different media constantly providing them, whether it's on YouTube, Telegram, Twitter, all vying for their attention and their funds. And it attracts a lot of other bad actors or people who want to exploit others for short-term gain.
Definitely. Just dollar cost average. Want to?
Yeah.
We'll get back to you, Nicola.
We have Richard here. Hi, Richard.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. How's it going?
Going pretty well. I love the show. I like the new studio too.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for tuning in. Wanna tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a grad student in statistics, so nothing to do with crypto for the most part. But I do like the Monero project, and I really like where it's going. I'm one of those guys who, of course, started out with Bitcoin, realized the fungibility issue and everything, and kind of moved to Monero. So, I mean, I do like the project, and I like where it's going. There's definitely a lot of add-ons that I like to add on to the currency. So currently I'm working on building up my programming skills so I can actually help out with the project. I do like the volunteer aspect. I like a lot of aspects about the Monero community right now. And I just hope it keeps going.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
That's
thanks
what it's
for
all
tuning
about.
in.
If you want anybody that wants to join, whether you're a noob or an OG,
An OG.
come on down. What type of things are you looking to contribute and add?
So mostly this is a digital currency. I think we should, of course, take it. I mean, of course, you want to be like at the base level requirements. We need all of the things that cash has. But on top of that, take advantage of the fact that we're on the digital layer and do some automatic procedures. So like programmability, I would like to add that to Monero for the most part. Just some simple stuff to start out with, like automatic payments, recurrent payments that you don't have to do constantly with transactions. I do think we need something similar to Lightning, but not the same way. It needs to be a little bit better. I don't think you really need channels. I think you can be done with just addresses because it's essentially just like a multi-sig address. But things like that, just general programmability, I think would be nice.
Awesome, man. And so you're teaching yourself how to code right now, you said, or you're studying?
Oh, no, I've been coding for about maybe like half my life.
Oh, okay.
So
Sorry,
yeah, statistics is very, very computer based. So it's programming is the like base level. You kind of need that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mostly use Python and R. So right now I'm just reteaching myself C++ and Rust.
Awesome. Well, it's exciting that you're considering Monero as a project that you want to work on. There's plenty of other ones out there, so it's nice to see that you're choosing Monero.
Yeah, but there's only one with actual fungibility.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh, God. And we have Chill. Hi, Chill. How's it going?
Hi guys, how
Hello.
are you guys? Nice to
Good.
see everyone.
Nice to see you. Want to quickly introduce yourself for those that
Sure.
don't know you?
Yeah, I really like that Richard is working on these automatic payments. I think we need some kind of subscription service for Monero for sure.
Definitely. I don't know if there's any other solutions that exist for that. Sean, do you know of anything that's kind of doing that yet, or no?
Well, a subscription service like that, it's difficult to put that in play right now. The scripts that exist are, well, kind of rudimentary, so they don't support that. It's possible with, well, it's not really done right now, but there are some add-ons that there's some, well, I don't want to go into particulars, but a couple of brand new things that are just starting up over the last 6 months that do have some programmability add-ons to Monero, but they're still in development and they're not very well going. It would be any things like this if there was like an existing framework or a service that added on top. Say if we had a popular wallet that said, hey, we'll help you manage something, maybe even send you a reminder so that you have to send a recurring payment at a particular point in time. We can add that in. Any of the existing wallets could add that as basic, real simple things. And then you can simply manage a repetitive payment over time that you authorize at every particular interval. It would also kind of make it a little bit easier when it's human intervention rather than some analytical intervention for somebody intercepting and looking for patterns for the same payment over time as well too. But yeah, you need something else. You need some sort of trusted third party right now to be able to say it'll handle the payments independently for you. You know, one thing like that would be nice to add into to the wallets though, that's all.
Definitely. I mean, if you think everything's going to subscription service, including food and groceries these days, and I think like crypto not having that is a huge disadvantage if we actually want to use it on a day-to-day basis.
Definitely. It's essential. Guys, I was gonna jump to the topic of what somebody here was calling the Diego situation. I mean, I think we all have to talk about it, right?
It's the elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room. I know Seth was pulled into a bunch of conversations on Twitter and elsewhere. He made some poignant Reddit posts. Let's just get into it, guys. We got to talk about it. I think everybody watching is expecting us to talk about it as well, and it's an important topic. I mean, I'll say, you know, my take, just in general, is that, you know, I feel like the Monero community is as healthy as ever in terms of always trying to be pure in its ideals and what it stands for. And I think what we're seeing right now is a result of that. So instead of the community just kind of ignoring what's going on, people are getting involved, they're getting vocal. Things are getting a little heated, and it's unfortunate that, you know, there's some negative energy that has to go along with it, but you know, that's just the way it is. I mean, there's a lot. This is an open source project. People are working very hard on it. A lot of people are, you know, just purely volunteering. So there's a lot of passion involved. There's a lot of emotions involved. So I think it's all natural. So I think it's all good things, but I'm always the ultimate Monero bullish maximalist. So I see the good in everything. I do, you know, with Diego, I think he's an awesome guy. We know him personally.
A few times, yeah.
I think he's done amazing work for the project. But I was concerned when, you know, Giannic, you know, he spelled out all those points really well. And I did find a lot of those things concerning. I tuned into the recording that you guys had with him on Clubhouse. And I didn't really love all his answers. You know, it's unfortunate that he was being grilled. You know, I didn't like that, you know, that it was coming across that he was being grilled. But, you know, it kind of really hit home when he said, you know, he doesn't even hold Monero. And I get he was trying to paint that in a positive light, like he doesn't want to be too tied into the project. But I mean, if you know, it's why would you not be I'm not saying all in, but I mean, why would you not be holding Monero if you're passionately working on the project? And that's probably not the biggest issue that most people have, but that was like one of the ones that really kind of hit home with me. And then just the fact that he's essentially was working on other privacy coin projects through his company. And once again, you know, I totally understand, you know, his side of it. The guy's got to make money. He's got to make a living. And I totally get that. But it just, I feel like it was kind of dividing his attention and his, you know, allegiance to Monero. Now, I'm not saying, you know, I don't think anybody should have, you know, blind allegiance to anything, but to be working on projects that are competing at the same time and to be at that level and to essentially be getting paid by the project itself, by the Monero General Fund, I do think there was ultimately some issues there. So I think the way things ultimately shook out makes sense that Diego's stepping aside. I think it's unfortunate that, you know, people's feelings had to get hurt along the way. And I also am concerned about the fact that, you know, it may potentially deter some people, right? Because they see what happened here, and now they may, you know, think twice about participating in a community where you know the whole community can turn on them. But that's just the nature of the beast. So that's my overall take on it. Seth, you want to jump in and take the floor and talk about some things?
Yeah, sure. I'll speak to it real quick. I think some of the biggest takeaways for me are decentralized communities are really freaking hard. They're really hard. And I think this is something that's just not talked about a lot. And this isn't exclusive to Monero. This isn't even exclusive to cryptocurrency. I mean, really all FOSS projects when they get to a certain size, and not many FOSS projects are the size of Monero, much less Bitcoin. Once they get to that size, things just get really tricky, especially because we have funding for devs, and there's just a lot of difficulty when it comes to handling a decentralized community, especially because obviously we don't want to be censoring people, we don't want to be trusting people blindly. There's just a lot that goes into that. So hopefully everyone approaches the situation understanding decentralized communities are really hard. And even when people are doing what they think is best for the project, sometimes they make mistakes, and sometimes things happen. And it's good that people make calls for transparency and that kind of thing. I think in this specific situation, there were a lot of issues where I don't think anything malicious happened, but just a lot of poor decisions were made on how messaging was done, on how transparency was done or not done, honestly, by both Core and Diego. And those things are bad. I think the kind of uniqueness in this situation is that he wasn't a CCS funded contributor. So he wasn't directly under the community's oversight like everyone else who goes through the CCS and gets funded directly by the community. He was getting paid through the general fund, which is up to the discretion of Core to spend. But obviously the community still deserves some transparency into what's happening there. And so there were a lot of problems that could have been avoided if there was transparency up front, and if there was honesty up front about what was happening, about when he was hired, about what he was hired for, what work he was doing, that kind of thing. Even though he doesn't necessarily owe it to the community, it's just the right thing to do, because obviously otherwise people are going to be confused and upset and want to know more. So I wish that there had been more of that. And there wasn't. And then obviously there was this issue with a potential conflict of interest. Again, knowing Diego, I don't think that it was anything malicious, but there's just issues when you are paid to work for a project and then you have a company on the side that's working for competing projects. I don't really see Firo as competing, either actually like trying to compete with us or competing with the scope of Monero and the adoption of Monero. But it's still another project. So he's getting paid to work full-time on Monero, and he's getting paid through his company to work on other projects, which is it's just a bad idea. And that wouldn't work in any business. That's not just specific to Monero. Again, that's just kind of the way things work. You don't want to have clear conflicts of interest when you're doing things like this. So yeah, I'm glad a lot of this came to light. It needed to. I'm glad that Giannik made the calls that he did. I don't like a lot of the ways that things were handled by him or by others in the community. There were a lot of, I think, underhanded tactics, including recording that Clubhouse conversation and publishing it without telling anybody that was being recorded, which is not a good thing. It is a public chat, but they're explicitly not supposed to be recorded, and no one was informed. So stuff like that I think is bad. Even if the end was good, the means don't, the end does not justify the means in that situation. So I think things could have been handled better by both sides. But I think most of the things that Giannik talked about and called for were good. We needed transparency. We needed answers to some of these questions. And so I think overall the situation ended as it should. Obviously, I don't love that he's stepping down, but I do think it's the right call, and it's what I asked him to do privately, what I asked him to do publicly as well. So I think it's the only real move, since he has his own company that seems to be doing well. So hopefully that will be a good fit. Hopefully he'll stick around Monero and help out where he can. But yeah, it was a tricky situation, and things like this always get messy in decentralized communities.
Yeah, I should just say quick, if you're listening and you want to jump on, by all means, come on, jump on. Let's hear what you got to say. And I really hope he continues to work on Monero in a large way. I hope, that would be the most tragic thing, is if, we lose people that were working hard on this project. There's no greater asset to this stuff than the people that work on it. Obviously the technology is important, but the technology is nothing without the network, and the network are the people that use it and the people that contribute to the project. That's why I think Monero is such a strong project, because it has these strong ideals that everybody in the community, for the most part, agrees with, and they work on this project out of a passion. I think that's kind of our greatest advantage compared to all other cryptos, except for maybe, I think Bitcoin competes on that level, obviously, as well. So it's a shame to potentially see people get deterred from working on it. But I think, ultimately Monero will always prevail. The ideas behind it are going to prevail, and it's just some bumps in the road. I think with the Clubhouse thing, I totally get what you're saying. I see why the people that were in that room were upset by it, but if Giannic didn't record, like, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. That information probably wouldn't have gotten out there. I wouldn't have listened to it and witnessed it. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like an expectation of privacy thing. You know, anybody that's on Clubhouse should just be treating it like they're on, you know, in a public forum. I mean, it's not a private Zoom chat or something. I get their terms of service are that you're not supposed to be recording, but I would think that anybody's expectation there should be that, you know, anything you say there is basically public information.
I mean, it is public. And again, like, he can record that. Anyone can record them. They're not supposed to, but I wouldn't normally really care. And they've been recorded in the past. But it's just something where people need to know that they're being recorded, and know that I think a lot of it was that it seemed like it was used as a weapon to be kind of the final nail in the coffin, rather than like, hey, I'm hopping on and I'm recording, and oh, look, this is some information I can use. So that may be just me misreading that situation, but just not a fan of that part of the approach. But the information was good to know. Again, I think a lot of the stuff that came out of it was good, but I think we need to be careful that we don't take this the ends justify the means approach to things and scare people off in the meantime.
Who else wants to jump in? Has anybody else have comments on the situation?
Yeah.
You know, I've read little.
Go on.
I've only read little bits and pieces of it, so I mean, I wish I knew more, but it sounds pretty bad. It's definitely gonna.
It's all on Reddit if you want to read through that. There's a couple.
I've been reading it the past 10 minutes.
There's a lot.
Actually.
Take a week off too.
There's like 200 comments on my thread. And like
I have so much stress right now. Like, I have so many things going on that I have not read the news. So all I know is number go down. So
He definitely knew that news.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with what the strife that's going on in the community. It's just traders trading. When you say it sounds really bad, what were you referring to? Just what we were talking about in terms of.
I read a post about something about how there was a bunch of money sent to the general fund, and then now someone wants an audit and something like that. I mean, I read that like last week, but I only looked at it for a couple minutes because I have a lot of I take summer classes, so I am basically doing that 24/7. So I might look for like 5 minutes, but then I don't really see what's going on. But I did see something about how a Diego guy was having issues with the community.
Chill.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to give a really quick summary.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So the thing about the general fund, there have been calls for transparency around that for a while. And I think in either 2019 or 2020, it was said that quarterly reports would be published, and they haven't been. So there's part of it is this general call for that transparency, which is legitimate and needs to happen. There's a specific user on Reddit who's been kind of attacking, trolling in Reddit. I think Archiactive or something. I can't remember his name. He made this post that I would just generally ignore. But the Diego
I think I read that one.
Yeah, some of the points are legitimate, but he is very much attacking Monero through how he's talking in Reddit. But the Diego situation was basically he was employed full-time through Core and being paid from the general fund to do work for them. That work was never really clear. The role was never really clear. It wasn't announced when it started. There were calls for transparency. They never happened. He published one transparency report about what he was doing and then refused to publish anymore. So generally the issue was he worked for Core and refused to share kind of what he was doing publicly, even though a lot of us saw some of the stuff that he was doing behind the scenes. And then the thing that pushed it over the edge is he has a company that he owns and runs called CipherStack that has been doing work for Monero, but also for other projects like Firo. So the main kind of thing that kind of, I guess, broke the camel's back was this potential for conflict of interest between his full-time work for Monero and the company that he owned that was handling some researchers who have worked for Monero in the past, now are working for other projects, and just a lot of transparency issues and general visibility issues. Things looked really bad. Whether or not they were is still not super clear because there hasn't been a lot of transparency still from Core. or really any public statement from Diego on everything that's gone on. So a lot's still unclear, but I think everything at least looked bad. And so things happened. He's resigning from his full-time role with Core under Monero. And he's going to continue, obviously, running the business that he's built out.
Yeah, I read stuff like that last week, but I didn't know all the details. So
there's a lot more than that, but that's a TLDR.
Sorry. Short
thanks.
summary.
Chill, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So my takeaway was that we're kind of seeing that we are having all these centralized expectations from decentralized projects, right? And I mean, if you look at the issues from zoom out a bit, you can see that, okay, researchers don't have a paycheck. That seems to be an issue, right? But that's a centralized perk, so to speak. They don't give us reports. Nobody knows what the marketing direction is, the brand. Like sometimes we argue over what should be what should we advertise, what we shouldn't. So I just want people to consider that, because I've seen a lot of comparison with Dash and Zcash, and those projects are centralized. And they have Zuku, for example, who will tell you, hey, you need to produce a report by 6 p.m. This is the marketing strategy. This is how much you're getting. Like, there's more accountability in a centralized setting that we are kind of used to, and we are expecting it, even though this is decentralized. And thank God we don't have leaders. Like, thank God we don't have someone to, and so it's all just a big experiment. And we're just watching it unfold. And to me personally, it's a miracle that it's working and it's so efficient, considering we don't have any full-time employees, no one's paid. I mean, it's just mind-blowing that Monero is even functioning.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's purely out of passion. Like you said, I mean, some people are getting paid in ways, we have a sponsor for this show, but I mean, the amount of effort we put in this thing does nowhere near matches the reality of what we're getting. I mean, compared to like what we get paid during our day jobs and the effort we put there. I mean, we put a lot of effort into this, and it's purely out of love and a passion for Monero. And I know it doesn't sound crazy to you guys, because you guys all are doing the same thing, and there's so many other people that are working even much harder than we are, and at a whole like different level in terms of the amount of brain power they're putting into like the things that the devs are doing. And a lot of these guys just working anonymously, and really for a lot of them for no pay at times. It's just amazing. It's a beautiful thing. So like I said in the beginning, so to see this happen, it's unfortunate for all the reasons we're talking about, but it's a byproduct of a decentralized open source project that's working. Sean, what do you think? Give us some wisdom.
Well, I can. I know Diego. He's personality. He's a very cool guy. Very, very smooth. He connects well with just about everybody. And when you have a lot of people who are, this is an international team, not just international, this is an entire worldwide team of people here who are making Monero happen. And when you have a lot of people who speak different languages, come from different backgrounds, you can get a lot of, miscommunications, different ways of talking. If something goes wrong in one area, you get frustrated, and it's really hard to meet and talk to new people. But Diego's always stepped up in that. He's always been there to let everybody know, hey, let's enjoy what we're doing together. And it's not often you have somebody like that who is really committed to making sure everybody gets together and hang out. And so I think everybody respects him and just likes his personality. And so, if he's not going to be in this, keeps connections alive. So I think everybody who knows him will be happy for him, and we'll keep in contact with him. We think he'll be doing okay. So.
Awesome. Yeah, totally agree. And I think he'll come back around. I mean, that's what I think.
I mean, that is kind of how things go nowadays. I mean, there's a cancel culture that exists. So I mean, you do one little thing wrong and you're exiled forever, whether it's from an educational community or the Monero community in this case. And this guy, Archie Active, has been really posting a lot of bad things about Monero on the subreddit. So it's not going to look good for a while.
Yeah, that's that's an internet issue too, right? So everybody can speak their mind from behind their computers anonymously, and they come out with ferocity, and they don't care. They'll just say whatever it is they want to say. It's things that they wouldn't say to people's faces. And so that's unfortunate. That's a little hard, but I think most people have adapted to that, already. And this kind of, everybody's getting used to that. It's unfortunate to watch and see though, because I think a lot of people just aren't as cordial on the internet, and it's hard to watch sometimes. Like when I ran for Congress, right? I mean, it was like, it was disgusting, the things that people would do and say to you. And so to watch that in, when it was all going down, people yelling at each other in the comment, it's hard to watch. So my advice, anybody that's watching, just think twice before you type things too. I mean, there's people on the other side. There's people, think about people's feelings. Like, yeah, you're just typing into a box, into a computer, and it's going off to people with fake names, but there's real people behind those names. And there's nothing wrong with just trying to be nicer. I mean, it's just going to help. It's going to help the community too when we have that culture of acceptance. The fact that you don't have to fear. You could say things. You don't have to fear that there's going to be like retribution, or you could go out there. You may come up there with an idea. And you don't have to fear that everybody's going to attack you. Or if you come out and you make a mistake. I mean, like, we shouldn't be so fast to pile on and like, attack people as a big group. I mean, that's kind of a disgusting aspect of human nature to watch, when everybody just piles on and singles somebody out. So I never like seeing that in any aspects of my life. And so most certainly don't like seeing it here. And I understand why it happens, but there's no reason why it has to, right? We could, take it upon yourself to do the right thing. You don't have to act that way on the internet.
And I think
Didn't
Don't
someone
act that way on the internet.
didn't someone mass mail your political contributors like letters, postcards saying you support terrorism?
Yeah, that was probably the worst of it. But yeah, there was a lot of incidents. People are just nasty,
You were in a really tough district.
Definitely a tough district. New Yorkers in general are tough people, and they don't hold back from saying things. So once you get the internet versions of them, it's even worse.
Are you saying that we're opinionated?
Yeah.
Just a chat.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that people from New York certainly have a way about them. They're deeply divided, but at the same time, they can agree on a lot of things that they don't realize that the rest of the world doesn't agree on. So, it's great to have places where you can speak freely and talk about things, and figure out the way that everyone in the world thinks about things.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And just another thought too, with what was going on this past week, I'm sure not a lot, but I'm sure there were people that were on Reddit and elsewhere that were just fueling the fire just because they want to see Monero. But there's people out there that want to see Monero burn, right? That take advantage of these situations. So then they're out there tweeting about it or just putting more fuel in the fire. There's
shorts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, the shorts.
Exactly.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I mean, there's also like a social media dynamic here, especially with platforms like Reddit, Twitter, and Facebook with a like system. So you're kind of playing with the human mind here. And I think there's another dynamic that is not really considered yet, is the fact that when Gianni posted that, a lot of people in the Reddit community had no idea about the situation. So they went from 0 to mystery percentage of information and then reacted to that, and then tack on the kind of Reddit system, how that affects your mind. It's just kind of like natural disaster, just what happens.
Yeah,
Isn't
and
that
that's
kind of
what
how the media works as well? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean that's another reason why even when there's not an explicit requirement for transparency into like how you're doing work, what you're doing, how you're spending your time when you're being funded by the community. Like in Diego's situation, there's an explicit requirement that he do that because he's not being funded through the CCS. It's one of those situations where the transparency just goes a long way to just give the community something to go on, to understand what you're doing, to understand how you're working, to understand how you're benefiting the community. So it could have been that it had gone from monthly transparency reports to a post about the issues. And with the stuff that was going on, maybe it still would have been the best move for him to step down. But if there had been clear transparency from him and Core throughout the process, and it didn't even have to be something super complicated in advance, but just some simple like, hey, these are the main things we're working on. Hey, this is what I did this month roughly. Like those kinds of things. That would have gone a long way so people understood like, hey, Diego works for Core. Hey, Diego gets paid full time. Hey, Diego does this general set of things for the Monero community. Instead of people, like you mentioned, hopping on Reddit and being like, someone gets paid full time through Core to work on Monero. Because a lot of people didn't have any idea because it had never been publicly announced, even though it had been discussed in the past on Reddit and other places. But it was just something that unless you were very closely following Monero for a long time, you may not have even known that he was working full time for Monero. So transparency goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. Just engagement with the community in general to make sure that that they're with you on everything. I mean, yeah, this is decentralized, so we need some sort of consensus system. Otherwise, we can't keep up.
Yeah, what I noticed, everyone who's doing something valuable gets attacked at some point for whatever reason, you know. Because I mean, right before that, we just had a bad Monero season because we just had like drama after drama after drama. And like right before that, someone was attacking Justin as well. I mean, come on. Justin probably does the most work out of all of us, besides you guys. You two out there all the time. But you know, at the end of the day, as the community is getting bigger and larger, it's gonna be inevitable.
Look, I put it this way: if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Right?
It's true.
Oh, thank God. Now you tell me. I feel so relieved.
What, you want everyone to love you?
I love everybody, or at least I try. You know, it's their actions I don't always love.
I'm nice to people who are nice to me.
So, what else you guys want to talk about? Is there more things to say about these issues?
I think from my end, I would just like to keep Clubhouse for the newcomers as a friendly vibe. And when you have a telenovela or something important that needs to be discussed by the whole community, given we are a privacy community, I think Jitsi would be a better option. A lot of people even mentioned that you know, they can join. They don't use these closed source platforms. And, you know, I think I just want to make it public that is not what we started for. It's basically for Bitcoiners or other people who are just hanging around Clubhouse to pop into our room. And we are the welcome to Walmart people to kind of explain what Monero is.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah, you're saying those type of conversations that were had should have been had on a different type of platform, on like Jitsi or something?
Yeah, so everybody can join. I mean, it's an important conversation. There were some valid concerns. So I don't understand why have that conversation. I mean, first of all, why have it on Clubhouse?
Yeah. I guess it just happened that way. I don't think it was anybody's intention. I don't think Giannic didn't plan it to happen that way. I think he just saw an opportunity. At least that's my interpretation, but who knows? I spoke to him today. You know, I want to say too, you know, I really like Giannic as well. You know, we've met Giannic in person. He's helped us out with this show.
Yeah.
Guys, you know, like all of you know, he's super smart. He really understands Monero. he has like a really good ability at like, you know, he's like a Monero investigative journalist. Like he really just like knows the inner workings of what's going on. He has very good ability at like having tabs on what's going on. So I think he's a great resource to the community. I think he was a little harsh. He was definitely a little harsh, and it was maybe he'll change his tactics a little bit, but overall he's definitely a major asset to the community.
You know, it's something I might like to see. I saw recently CryptoZilla. I'm not CoffeeZilla. Sorry. He'd made a video regarding some stuff involving Tether, and I think it would be really interesting. He likes to cover controversial stuff related to financial things, and maybe it would be interesting for someone like him to cover this incident. I know that he has a pretty good following.
Okay, yeah, I don't really know much about that guy.
He's like a investigative type reporter. He investigates like online scams.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
He's got coffee in the name, so maybe he'd like to do a taste test live.
Do this.
Yeah, let's jump topics, guys. What else do you guys want to talk about today?
A lot of talk about R in the chat.
Talk about what?
R coin, you know, everyone's favorite coin.
Yeah, people were asking here, what's the difference? What is it?
I think Massive had something to say.
I was gonna mention something on a different topic. I don't know. I feel like I didn't know much about R coin, and I heard about it on here and looked into it, and it seemed like a scam because there was a giant pre-mine. So I just kind of wrote it off after that. Sorry if you guys like it. I'm interested to know what's the latest on like atomic swaps. I know I kind of follow Farcaster and Commit, I think, are the two of like the three, and I feel like maybe an atomic swap happened, but the developers had to like manually do a bunch of stuff. So I'm just curious, like, what's the status of that? And I know like on the Bitcoin side, the Ronin dojo guys like seem to be, turning on to Monero, which is really encouraging from my perspective to see the communities actually appreciating each other for the advantages they have. So kind of wondering when that's going to be usable by, technical end users.
Yeah, so I think it's Samurai Wallet who are the ones who are working on atomic swaps, and they're looking into using the Commit backend because that's the one that's the closest to being functional. Commit is hopefully I'm saying that right. I have no idea. Hopefully, or Commit is on mainnet, so you can use it right now to swap Bitcoin and Monero, but it's CLI based and it's very much still in testing. So it's
have you tried it?
Available. I haven't. I really need to. I keep saying I'm going to, but I haven't gotten around to actually trying it. So I'm gonna try to put that on my plate and see if I can actually work through it and get something running. But yeah, theirs are live. They work. I think at this point, it's mainly people building on top of it is what needs to happen. So like Samurai Wallet are building functionality into their Bitcoin wallet to be able to do atomic swaps with Monero. I'm not sure exactly what. I know for sure that they will not actually. It won't be a Monero wallet as well. So you'll be able to swap for Monero, but you'll have to send it somewhere else. So that'll be great to see. As far as I know, that's the only actual ongoing implementation. I think Cake Wallet had mentioned that they want to integrate it at some point. But to be honest, as far as I know, their profit model is the exchange swaps that are native within Cake Wallet. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's not something they rush into. But hopefully we will see it there. And then I think Monero is also investigating it, but no idea on the progress there.
Well, I spoke to Vic today. I mean, I don't want to give away anything but I know he's always pushing to be on the cutting edge. So I'll leave it at that. And obviously Vic, I mean, I don't want to misspeak for Vic in any way, but his large vision with Cake is being able to use Monero in the most user-friendly way possible and kind of seamlessly move between Monero and other big coins like Bitcoin primarily in ways that align with the cypherpunk vision of no KYC AML, right? So I think Vic is constantly trying to constantly move Cake in that direction. So Monero can be completely usable as digital cash. So I think, and he's doing an amazing job at it, and making it a business as he goes, which is hard to do. So cheers to, sponsored by,
Oh, sponsored
good time
by
to say
Cake
sponsored by
Law.
Cake. Cheers to Cake.
Cheers to you guys. And cake.
John, you have any you want to add about regarding atomic swap? Is there any new info there that Seth didn't bring up?
Oh, well, the basic theories here, but just kind of like we're going back to the original origin of all cryptocurrency. You got to start out really low first. So low level did work, but it's going to take a while before we get something up and functioning like a full DEX. Eventually, it's going to be perfectly compatible with the other Turing complete programming languages. So it is possible to have an entirely, Monero can be part of one of the many cryptocurrencies that are traded by all the existing, say, Ethereum decentralized exchanges. It's just going to be added in, but it's going to take a bit of time to do that. Monero is going to specifically have to worry about difference in fungibility between different coins and UTXOs that you get from other locations. Monero automatically brings that. So any other side is going to want to have the same level of quality, and that's not a trivial task. It's going to take a lot of time, but everything's there. It's just a matter of taking what's already existing and building it all together to add Monero into everything else. And that's going to be a pretty bright future for Monero because it's so beautiful in every other way that you can basically upgrade all the other investments with all the properties of Monero anytime you want. So yeah, the sky's the limit on that.
Yeah, I came across the article maybe a month or two ago. I was just trying to find it up, but I can't. But it had a bunch of like footsteps in the sort of, orange and white and black. And it was about atomic swaps. And basically, I understood probably 80% of it easily. And then, which is pretty advanced. And then, the other 20%, I'm kind of like Googling stuff, going on Wikipedia. And then I'm like, all right, I got to go on to like Khan Academy and learn about these like cryptographic principles they're talking about. Like I understand, hash time lock contracts and the Lightning Network and stuff. So I thought that would get me pretty far. But then they were like, well, Monero has different ways of like locking things up. And it was quite a rabbit hole, but it seems super exciting. And I'm just mostly looking forward to having a better alternative to like, I hope they're not a sponsor or anything, but like Change Now, I like Cake Wallet, not so much a big fan of the current exchange services that are available there. I mean, they're just like a new Shapeshift, and I worked at Shapeshift a long time ago. Like I know how that works. It's a custodial exchange. They have a support desk, The last time I did a Change Now thing, there was a bunch of congestion on the Monero network, and like I got like 20% less Monero than I thought I was getting. So I haven't done any exchanges since then. So if we can make it, cryptographically guaranteed, that's like really what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Same, honestly. For the same reason, I'm actually only using local Monero for straight fiat to Monero transactions.
How about sorry, man. I was gonna say Thorchain, I think, is another good thing to talk about.
Yeah, that one definitely seems really interesting.
Yeah, it seems like it's like a very good balance between being decentralized and trustless, and also being user friendly. Unless I'm missing something there, it seems like it's doing that quite well. Do you guys have opinions there as to whether or not we should trust and use Thor once they add essentially swaps between Bitcoin and Monero?
Well, I think if you're just going in and out, then it's just fine. But I wouldn't hold like anything that you value for long term with a third party.
Yeah, it's important that people know it's not atomic swap based. It will not be atomic swap based. It is technically custodial. Basically, hopefully I say this right. I've been looking into them and trying out Thorchain quite a bit, just trying to make sense of what it is. But it's essentially custodial with a rotating set of multi-sig wallet holders, and those wallet holders have to put up their native token, which I think is Rune, as kind of a bond for the assets that they hold, and they have to have an oversized bond for the amount of assets that they'll hold. And I think it's 26 at a time multi-sig key holders, but that number could be wrong. But that's kind of the core of it, is they're the actual custodians of all of the coins that are in Thorchain as you're swapping around. So there is still some risk. Obviously, it should be low. I think it is an interesting balance between decentralization, custodial versus non-custodial, and it's an interesting way to do cross-chain swaps. I just like with anything else like this, I wouldn't trust them with your money. I wouldn't keep money in wallets around that. I definitely wouldn't say like invest in Rune or anything like that. But once they add Monero, which they've said they're adding it, I haven't seen any progress for a while. But once they add Monero, I'll definitely be testing it out. It could be an interesting thing that you can use to swap between chains that don't have atomic swap support. I would definitely say if you can, use atomic swaps anytime possible, because those are completely non-custodial. They are completely trustless. You cannot lose your funds unless obviously you mistype an address or something. But the actual swap will either succeed perfectly or fail perfectly, and you will either get the funds that you're swapping for, or you'll get your own funds back. So atomic swaps are definitely kind of the gold standard of trustlessness, but there is definitely still a place for different approaches along the spectrum of trustless to trusted. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I think that's
also
an important point. Oh, go ahead.
I also
Jeff?
mentioned, yeah, sorry. I also mentioned with Justin a couple weeks ago about Incognito. Although Incognito is not as secure as Thorchain's custodial system, as I said, if you're just going for an in and out, I don't see why not. I mean, people still use centralized exchanges, and we have, for the most part, not had many problems, with some exceptions like Mt. Gox, but we won't talk about that.
From my experience, I wouldn't recommend using Incognito. They may roast me.
I
I don't
wouldn't
know. I
necessarily.
don't like the approach. It's custodial entirely. It's an approach, but I don't love the way that they handle things, and I don't love the actual technical implementation. So I would be very wary of using it personally.
It's like between using Trade Ogre and Thorchain, I guess.
Since it's an entirely custodial bridge, you're using a centralized exchange. It looks decentralized on the surface, but it's an entirely custodial bridge. So it's not actually. They could steal funds. They could just become insolvent. There's lots of things that could happen. So if you want to use it, sure, but it's not something that I would recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you mentioned an important point, Seth, which is it's a spectrum. I mean, even atomic swaps that appear to be totally decentralized, like you, I think Sean mentioned, there's not a DEX yet. Well, once you have a DEX, like that's an interface that you're trusting someone, and there's developers behind it. Like you're basically always trusting somebody. But and I know that you guys know more about Thorchain than I do, but my understanding is it's kind of like a rolling federation, and federations are like in the middle ground there, but far better than like a single custodial party.
Yeah, it seems to be a well-implemented custodial decentralized exchange.
Yeah, I saw that Shapeshift actually moved to them, or is moving to them, and I think that's the first laudable thing that they've done probably since I left there like 3 years ago or so. But I'm proud of them. Good for them. And I guess they're still collecting a spread, so that shows that even with like atomic swaps, there's like somebody on each side of the trade. So it doesn't have to be like, it can still be profitable for people to offer, to be the maker there, and you can be the taker because you want to do a swap. Still can make money, and we can all get along.
Yeah, we'll definitely still see market makers in atomic swaps. I think Comet have already talked about that they have partners who are going to be makers on the Monero Bitcoin atomic swap side. So there will still be that. Obviously, the potential difficulty with atomic swaps is liquidity can be really hard to source, depending on just if people choose to trade or not. There's no kind of liquidity pool that you can constantly be using to go between assets. So that can be the main hurdle. And that's where something like Thorchain does bring deep liquidity, again, with trade-offs. So if those trade-offs are okay and it's a fitting solution for you, great. But the more trustless solution is definitely atomic swaps. So I'm hopeful that will take off, and we'll see implementations in multiple wallets, and that like decentralized exchanges like Haveno will integrate that natively.
Yeah.
Would Samurai wallet help that liquidity set?
Samurai wallet?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so as far as I know, they won't be acting as a maker or anything like that. So they won't be providing liquidity. So you'd still be, like, it would only be, as far as I know, going from Bitcoin to Monero. So you'd still have to have people who want to sell Monero for Bitcoin. So hopefully there will be market makers, or just people who are willing to sell constantly, so you don't have to worry about it. but there is the potential that there could be liquidity issues. So at specific points in time, maybe you can't swap because there's no one willing to sell Monero for the amount of Bitcoin you have, or there could be things like that because it is directly peer-to-peer. I mean, it's the same situation for those who have used BISC. You have to find another actual person, and that person could be a market maker who's doing it at an institutional size, or it could be just some random dude from the other side of the world. So you have to find that peer-to-peer trading partner, and sometimes that can be difficult. So Samurai Wallet won't specifically be providing liquidity as far as I know, but they'll be plugging in, and the people who are wanting to swap using Samurai Wallet will be providing liquidity by wanting to swap.
Cake needs to add this atomic swap.
Yeah, hopefully every Monero wallet will, and that's a place where like Comet is working right now, but as far as I know, it's a little bit more rough around the edges. It's kind of more like an advanced proof of concept. It works and it's able to be integrated. I think, from what I can tell, Farcaster will be much more extensible, much more able to be easily integrated into different platforms. So that may be the longer term solution, but we'll have to see how both Comet and Farcaster develop over time.
I will say Cake has some exciting things in the pipeline. So I don't know what he wants me to say. I don't want to say anything.
All these teases.
I don't want to say anything that
Stay tuned.
it wasn't public information yet. I don't know. We just got a
That's
gratuitous
nice.
order, which is awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, if you want to support the show, please buy a bag of delicious gratuitous coffee.
We're
gratuitous.org today.
we just got more fresh coffee.
Yeah, we got fresh coffee last week. Last week. So
guys, the more you order, the more coffee we can ship in, and the fresher it is. So keep it coming, guys. We're bringing coffee to New Hampshire. So
we're gonna have a little gratuitous stand at PorkFest.
Yeah, that should be fun.
That should be a lot of fun.
When is a Cake Wallet going to have hardware wallet support?
I have no idea on that one. I haven't heard.
That's like the only reason why I don't use it.
You don't like using just a native smartphone iPhone wallet?
Well, I mean, the thing with the hardware wallets is they're air gapped, so it definitely helps with security in that sense.
Well, like just for usability though, like if you want to actually, go out, use Monero, hold a couple $100 worth, or you don't even want to use it for those purposes.
I guess if I was going to use Monero day to day, I wouldn't want to use a hardware wallet because it'd be kind of a pain in the butt. They'll lug the cable around and unlock the thing in the middle. But in general, that's not what I'm using it for. So
I gotcha. Yeah, it's I mean, maybe I'm naive, so I don't know enough of the tech to be scared from using Cake. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but iOS is pretty solid, right? Pretty secure, and as long as you write your keys down. I realize that you're saying it's not air gapped, but I think especially for noobs, it's a good, super easy, user-friendly way to get people on Monero. Just download Cake. It's a way where you can easily buy it too. And I tell people too, if they're like super hardcore and paranoid, it's just a quick, easy way. If you essentially want to create a paper wallet, you generate a wallet on Cake. You could send your Monero to it, or you write down the seed, and if you want, just delete the app. If you're somebody who's just gonna like hold, and you don't have a lot of tech experience, but you want to like securely hold crypto. I mean, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not a nice user-friendly way to hold Monero securely if you don't want to, be too hardcore about it?
Oh, I love it now. It's so cool for budgeting too. Like I was thinking about that, that once we start using Monero every day, you can kind of budget. You can put, this is my grocery money. This is for this, you can set up all these different wallets and do the whole financial planning.
Mm-hmm.
You can connect to your own node too. It's
Yeah.
decent for technical users, and I believe it's open source. I don't think there's any way to verify that the binary that you're getting from the App Store is what's there, but that's a deficiency of Apple, not the Cake wallet. So
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I've got to hop off, but before I do, I will say I think there's a place for mobile wallets and there's a place for hardware wallets. And so like I have used my ledger with Monero in the past, but normally that's kind of like a use case that is a little bit niche to me, because normally I'm using a mobile wallet for the stuff that I'm going to be spending. I'll keep just a little bit of Monero in there for the things that I think I'll be paying for soon, or tipping people soon, or donating soon. And then a hardware wallet is something I use for kind of cold storage. So to me, a mobile wallet is a great fit for keep a little bit of funds on there. Just like you wouldn't carry around all of the money in your bank account in your wallet in your pocket. You would never do that. But you do carry around some money in the wallet in your pocket so that you can quickly pay for things. And then if you have to get more money, you can go to an ATM or something. I kind of treat hardware wallets as the ATM bank, and then my mobile wallet as the actual wallet in my pocket. So I always have funds ready to spend. And yeah, there's a little bit less security, but in general, something that's open source, connects to my own node, and is non-custodial is going to be a pretty good fit for that type of solution. So I definitely do like.
What do you think of this? Because I have told people this, because there's a lot of people that aren't super, they're not super techy. They want to get into Monero and they want to hold it in a secure way. What do you think of that? The idea of you're telling people you basically write down your seed, and then those that are like paranoid with having it on the phone, like if you're like really not looking to use it, you just want to stock your Monero away for 5 years. Just create a Cake wallet, create a wallet, send wherever you get your Monero, send it to the address, and if you want, you can delete the app, just hold on to the paper wallet.
Yeah, I mean,
decent
obviously,
play?
I'm not going to say there's no risk. Like there could be some implementation flaw or something that could cause issues where seeds have issues in the future. Obviously, as far as we know, that doesn't exist, and Cake has been great so far. But I think it's a solid use case. I mean, you can really use any wallet to generate the seed, because the seeds are compatible with any wallet, both past and future. So you can be pretty confident, as long as you have a seed generated and you store it safely and you hang on to it, that you can restore it later on down the line. So yeah, that works fine. That's not a problem at all. It's a little bit weird. Like I personally wouldn't do that, but that's a easy way to onboard people who are
it's just a simple,
just wanting to dump some Monero in there, forget about it, and come back 5 years or 10 years later.
Because even a hardware wallet's intimidating to some people. It's
Oh,
it's like a new device. It's like, oh, what do I got to do with this thing? It's like another thing you got to worry about. I do think that there's arguments to me too that like hardware wallets kind of make you like a target too, right? It's like if you're purchasing a hardware wallet, the only reason you're purchasing is because you're saying I have a lot of crypto that I want to hold. If you're if you simply have a smartphone, maybe you have crypto, maybe you don't.
I'd like to point out that the security necessary and the extra steps you have to go to secure the high value cryptocurrency you have is a very Cadillac problem. If you got to worry about the method you're going to go through to secure this, then yeah, that's it's nice to have that level of problems in your life. So yeah,
right.
Most people aren't going to have that.
It's a very privileged place to be, for sure. Well, thanks everybody for chatting tonight. I'm going to hop off, but
thanks so much for your time, man.
Yeah,
thanks for coming
so much
on.
for coming on.
Finally got on Monerotopia.
Yeah.
It's nice seeing you, Seth.
Yeah, y'all have a good night.
Later.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Have a good night.
So what I was gonna say is that there have been horror stories of online paper wallets for Bitcoin being written in ways to hijack the seed phrase. So there is that risk when it comes to using paper wallets. Maybe the software used to generate it may not be safe.
Oh yeah. You'd have to make sure that that's open source as well, and there's no bug, right? I mean, if you really want to do it the right way for generating a paper wallet.
Well, I think for full transparency there too, Cake Wallet, added Bitcoin, and I believe they had a problem with the algorithm they were using to derive the seed phrase at first, and some people may have even lost some funds because of that, but they were very transparent about it and fixed it.
Yep. And then I think they refunded anybody that did lose, that lost funds, right? I think they reached out to people.
Yeah.
Reach out. Yeah, I mean they've I guess mistakes happen, but the fact that they're transparent, that's obviously a nice thing to see and expected by the Monero community. I mean that I think that's been beaten into cake, right? They know that they can't do anything, take any steps without being completely transparent with the community. The Monero community will just hang them, The Monero community is great at that. Think massive. I just wanted to ask you because you said you worked at Shapeshift, right?
Yeah, I did.
How was it working with Eric Voorhees, or did you talk to him at all? Is he a Monero? We interviewed him on here on Monero Talk when we were
MoneroCon.
when we were in Denver at MoneroCon.
Oh, okay, cool.
I want to rewatch that. I don't remember everything.
Yeah, it
that
was short. It wasn't a very long
said, but do you have any feel as to how into Monero he is? I mean, I really like the guy. I love everything he says. He's like such a, he's a true believer in what all this stuff stands for, as far as I can tell from anything I've heard him say. And I like the fact, that he's not like some super maxi, obviously for his own reasons, right? It's how he became a billionaire, is because, he's created these on-ramps between all these coins. So he obviously is not just strictly a Bitcoin guy. But I love the way he talks about crypto, and the things he seems to care most about align very closely with what Monero is. So I'm just curious if you ever heard him like talking about Monero, or if you have.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell a quick story. I hopped on to this show a while back. It was when you guys were selling coffee like on the street in New York. And but I'll retell this story real quick from Shapeshift, which is that like the security guy there had if you violated some security policy, he would and someone called you out, say you left your computer unlocked, someone could come up and like message him or somebody from there to kind of prove, okay, you broke a security rule, and then you would get dunced and you'd have to wear this dunce hat around, and then whoever called you out got to wear the Monero medallion. So it was like a prize, I mean, it's definitely viewed as a very like in a very good light there. And I don't know if I've had any conversations with Eric personally about it, but I mean, I've talked with him quite a bit, and I think he's a good guy that means well.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we should try to get him on the show again, especially with Thorchain adding Monero. I'm sure there'll be, hopefully.
I'm sure he'd be ecstatic to come on.
Yeah. That's going to be a major thing when that happens, when you can use it to trade between Bitcoin and Monero. Guys, I don't know. What do you think? Should we wrap it up? We're on for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
If you guys want to talk about anything else, any topics we missed, or obviously we could talk for days, but anything else?
Well, yeah, someone asked about next guest, and we're working on. You want to talk about the Rohan Gray?
Oh yeah, so I had Rohan Gray on yesterday. I interviewed him. I discovered him. There was a congressional hearing on the digital dollar, on the creation of FedCoin, or whatever you want to call it, and he was one of the witnesses that testified, and he brought up a lot of points as to how if the government's going to do this, they're going to really need to make sure that they implement privacy into it, and it needs to function as cash. That being said, we disagreed on a lot of other things. He's a self-proclaimed Marxist. He has a lot of he makes a lot of his points. He's a very knowledgeable guy, very intelligent guy. Highly recommend tuning into that episode.
Yeah.
It was right. It was a good,
it was
a good conversation.
I'm editing it
and
now, but...
what he likes Monero. He likes Monero. He doesn't like he actually doesn't really like cryptocurrency. He doesn't think cryptocurrency has any chance at replacing fiat. He thinks fiat is a necessary thing. Basically, that governments need to have a monopoly on money, so that they can essentially turn the knobs of the economy as needed, which I certainly don't agree with.
Did he say if the digital dollar is being released? Because I think they were planning for July release, the two pilot programs for the digital dollar.
No, he didn't say that. He was just a witness when they were. He gave testimony on, essentially the main point he was making there was the need for privacy, and that they're going to need to make sure they consider that when they're creating it. No, he didn't. He didn't mention that in the interview. I don't believe that's correct information there.
Yeah, I was
Pilots being released when?
reading yesterday. The U.S. Department of Justice, they released like 120-page. Basically, they cover a lot about blockchain and how blockchain can be used in court, blockchain analytics, how accurate is the information, stuff like that. They do mention Monero, they mention Zcash, and I'm kind of always waiting for the shoe to drop, right? So I'm always checking what's going on, and they are looking into DEXs. They definitely anticipating that they have to deal with DEXs. They have to deal with DeFi. No mentions on atomic swaps. They're keeping a close eye on the kiosk. A lot of people are using kiosks. So we'll see. I was kind of glad that there was nothing about atomic swaps. Because and coin joins too, like they looking at the coin mixer. So I'm kind of anticipating that there's going to be some regulation that will kind of push coin joins and coin mixers aside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Also, just another point, I want to hear what you think about this. Just to see these central bank coins competing against each other. So with the attributes that they add. So, will U.S. Fed coin be more aligned with, what Americans expect, which is, protection of privacy and liberty, as opposed to, the coin that China ends up using? Will people trust U.S. Fed coin more for those purposes? Are there going to be competing attributes there? Curious if you guys have opinions on that.
So Algorand, which is like one of the pilots I think will come out, has already like a European and an Asian and a US kind of a bunch of projects basically and a foundation. So I'm guessing they kind of international, global. But yeah, definitely there's the Chinese yuan, the digital yuan. So I'm interested to see what others think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in?
Sure. Yeah. In regards to this Fed coin, I think that it's really interesting because despite our government's best intentions, the Constitution clearly states that we have a right to privacy, and unfortunately, what it's been done is they've allowed private companies to sort of spy as much as they can, and we give over our rights every day through deciding to interact with modern technology, and all of this information is sold to anyone who wants this. Not that difficult to buy data. It's just about money, and I think that it's really sickening that people allow the information of our lives to just be sold in bulk to people when we have a right to privacy. There's no real way of opting out at all.
That is kind of one of the pitfalls of the Constitution, was that the Fourth Amendment was only referring to government actors and not necessarily private companies. So the only real way to regulate what you're describing is through law. And we're just not quite there yet.
Well, I think there's a lot of ways to address that sort of thing. I think that yeah, what you said is very true. It only restricts the government. But I think that what the government that's being put in place, or that we agree to participate in, should be upholding is our negative liberties. And they should be preserved forthright, and you should be enabled to preserve your liberties by taking measures. And if you're being impeded on being able to take measures to to conceal your own finances is just one example. But I mean, preferences. I mean, all of the devices are listening at all times. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous what goes on. And yes, you're saying that the private companies sort of get a pass in the Constitution, but a lot of these private companies aren't truly private in the fact that they've only gotten to their size and to be untouchable or too big to fail because they've been able to work alongside a government that doesn't fully respect our negative liberties. And so they're sort of going to different parties to say, okay, well, the government can violate your negative liberties, but the private companies can't. And the private companies, can sell your data and spy on you, but the government can't. But the government can buy publicly viable data that's for purchase on the internet that are coming from the same kind of. So one hand washes the other here. So it's really I think it's almost like a false dichotomy at this stage of corporatism, where there's just different outfits. There's government public outfits, and then there's private outfits.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything of what you said was fair, because it's absolutely unfair that it's sort of a loophole around the Fourth Amendment. But I think that the general consensus in this country now is that privacy doesn't matter. I mean, my university just had a scandal about requiring vaccinations for certain students and not others. So people in general, especially in the bureaucracies, don't really care about this anymore, and it's just sad to see.
Right. I'm a big fan of Austrian economics and Hans Hermann Hoppe. And, in democracy, the God that fails really hits the nail on the head here. I don't think that important decisions should just be left up to consensus. As much as I think consensus is valuable in certain things that are pertaining to issues of negative liberties, where we have no choice but we live together. We live in a society, so we're going to be encroaching on each other's negative liberties in some way, not necessarily on purpose, but we can agree to certain standards which we choose to live by and choose to hold each other accountable, which I think is a very different situation than we find ourselves in now.
I think this is support what you said. Couple things. The Constitution doesn't mention democracy, and a lot of people are mistaken about that, because they always say, our democracy is under ruin, and then we need to have democratic socialism to save us from the corporations. And then I guess the leading question to ask, though, is if you wanted to hold a vote to whether or not we should have $1 million in our bank accounts, it would probably pass with an absolute supermajority, because no one would say no to that. So democracy is one of the weakest forms of government there is when you consider issues like that. And I think that's a lot of why, back in the 1700s, we have a Republican form of government, is because of those issues.
Definitely. We don't want just pure rule by the majority. I think another point to be made, obviously, so Monero, it's essentially a cypherpunk or crypto anarchist project, and the belief there being, let's put it into code. Let's create something that's unstoppable. Let's program privacy and liberty into the protocol, so we don't have to ask for permission from governments. We don't have to, lobby governments. We just go and do it, and then governments have to deal with it. And it's going to force governments, and in particular the United States, to compete with it, because now here you have this option, right? You can opt out into Monerotopia. Nobody can stop you. And if corporations and governments are going to want to compete with that, they're going to have to start to up their privacy game and their liberty preserving game. Otherwise, people will just continue to opt out and move over into things like Monero. And that's just for, we're just talking about money, but I mean, money's a pretty big thing, pretty big factor. And I think once governments start to see that people really want that, they're gonna have to compete in that manner as well.
I think we can be orange pilled as much as we want, but until broader society realizes what they've given up in the name of safety, they're going to eventually want to jump ship. And that is like a scary thing, because there is kind of a general consensus that rights come from government, and that's not necessarily the model that was outlined in the Constitution.
I'm kind of optimistic because right now they're negotiating what's called the privacy shield. So basically, between Europe and US, there's a lot of data transferred back and forth, trillions of dollars worth. And I saw a video of a lady, I can't recall her name because it's a weird name like mine. But basically, she said that unless the US starts enacting privacy laws like the GDPR, there's no deal. So I really enjoy that push, because there's pressure now. All these different countries are enacting these privacy laws and data protection laws, and we have nothing here for whatever reason. Doug probably knows why, but I don't want to keep you guys up all night because you look like you need a coffee soon.
It's a long day, a long day. I like what Crypto Crash said. Privacy is what makes us human. Without privacy, we are cogs surveilled by the machine. I totally agree with that. That's what drives and motivates me. Honestly, that kind of hits the nail on the head there. I think, literally, I mean, it allows us to maintain our individuality. It allows us to be who we are. Privacy. So, all right, guys. I think we ended on that. Right?
I think so. Yeah, let's do it, guys.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for making this an awesome show.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Please keep joining us.
I had a great time.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Your new studio, it's awesome.
Thanks.
Nicola, we'll be drinking a beer in person sometime soon, I'm sure.
Oh, can't wait. Looking forward to it. And maybe next time, well, maybe not next time, but at some point, I'd love to have you guys on Satoshi Street Bets on YouTube.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Just another platform to get the word out.
All right. Until then.
All right,
Come
guys.
back. Come to Florida sometime.
Jeff, awesome contributions, man. Awesome contributions. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Just come to Florida sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks,
All right,
Joe.
guys. Good night. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.